First, give an honor to God, to all of the ministers and all of those that have already spoken. We're also in the committal here from one of the board members of National Action Network, the Mayor of Richmond, Virginia, Reverend Dwight Jones. There are far too many to acknowledge, but I want you to know that we are grateful to all of you. Amen. That have come from so far at great cost to share with us in this service. And we don't take for granted your presence. Many of you I did not even know were coming. Amen. And we're glad that you would be here. Yes, sir. This is not an easy place to get to. Amen. You don't come here because you was in the neighborhood. And let me say before taking my text, as Joy said, my mother was big-hearted, and I think all of us, at funerals, going services, people tend to not deal with the fact that we must move on. Amen. Because none of us are going to be here forever. Amen. And my mother would want me to acknowledge my father. Stand up, Al Sharpton. Amen. Then I don't think I'm going to wear no whiskers like that when I do. If I look like George Washington, I don't know who he is. Frederick Douglass. All right. Let me also be clear. There's a difference between being known and being great. Amen. Amen. Many today have spoken of me and some of my nephew Kenny, brother Kenny. But she had 4 children. And she loved every one of us. Amen. And she saw all of us as unique and gifted in our own way. Amen. You just know about me. Amen. But she had 4 children. My brother Sonny, who worked all his life, took care of his family, taught us what being diligent was about, taught us what values was about. He was the oldest and the rock to the family. Amen. Tina, who was a gifted singer, creative. When I did my first sermon at 4, my mother never doubted I could preach. I was a member of the junior usher board, and they asked me at junior usher anniversary, they were preparing the program, they asked me what I wanted to do. They asked all the young junior ushers. My sister George, 3 years older than me, she wanted to sing. Eric Dyson, who later became a big singer, wanted to read a poem. I said I wanted to preach. The kids laughed. Sister Griffin, who was the senior advisor, Hazel Griffin, said, no, let him preach. Maybe he's being called. When I was 4 years old, they had to stand me on a box for the audience to see me. It was my sister Tina that helped me write my first sermon. St. John's 14th chapter. Let not your heart be troubled. She used to type out my sermons after I learned how to read and used to pin it to the Bible. And I would read as she had written it out, typed it out, and then I'd go off like I do on Politics Nation every night. I I've been messing up teleprompters all my life. And then Joy, who was the closest in age to me, and we grew up together. She was a gifted artist, one of the first African Americans to go to high school art and design. She was progressive before I knew what it was. I remember, because I grew up as stated in church, she's first going to take me to Greenwich Village. And I thought I went to hell. I'd never seen it. But she taught me about outside of church life. She also taught me how to listen. Because, you know, my mother had one sister named Redell. And Redell, every time we go down to Redell's house, she pinch us on the cheeks and say, "Hey, Punky," and we'd smile. And I'd wait every time we go over there on the weekend, "Hey, Punky." Joy told me after I got to be a teenager, she said, "I thought you was a civil rights activist." That's how I am. She said, "Don't you know how Redell been calling you a punk all your life?" She had great children and had a unique relationship with all of us. We all had our own relationship. And a great mother knows the needs of her children. All children are not treated the same because they don't have the same needs. You love them according to their needs. Any mother says, "I love my children equally." No, you should love them adequately. But some children need more attention. Some need more help. My mother knew the difference between her children. And she could handle all of us. So this is not just my celebration. Amen. Or Kenny's celebration. It's all of our celebration. Amen. Kenny was the only grandchild that was gifted. All of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren are unique. And we'd be here all day if we listed all of them. But I wanted to make you understand this is a family gathering. And she always understood that. Amen. And always made us understand it. As stated, she used to have family dinner. Henrietta Johnson's here used to live upstairs over us. When we moved back to Lennox Road in Brownsville. And I don't care how famous I got, I was just one of the kids at Thursday night family dinner. And that's why I know that's how she would want us to do this service. Amen. Let me thank all that have spoken, and it certainly is honor to her and the family that they would all come. Reverend Richardson and Reverend, all of the ministers that have spoken, Judge Mathis, been jealous, all of them, so did all of us. She loved and absolutely adored Martin Luther King. Amen. Amen. She brought me to Dr. King's New York chapter when I was not even a teenager. And I know she's smiling at Martin Luther King III and his wife. And for 45 years, I've been a friend, a son, a younger brother. It's according to what he wanted to do. You know, Reverend Jackson, when he wants to come down on me, he says he's like a father to me. When he wants to be younger, he says he's like an older brother. He switches gears according to what game we playing today. But she loved Reverend Jackson, and that's why she remembered him. But what he didn't say, what he didn't tell Kenny did, is that he goes to see his mother in a nursing home in Greenville. And she tells him to shut up at 6 o'clock, so he has to watch me on television. quiet, Al is coming up. She calls me Lil Al. I used to be Big Al. But God bless him, he would be here today. And all the Melvin Mars, all of our friends, Don Coleman, so many, Carl Andrews. I can't call all the names. Some of my relatives was trying to get an audition in because I told them Kadar Massenberg was here. Tamika Malley, who runs our organization, National Action Network, and all the staff, Michael Hardy, Rose Saunders, one of our leaders here in Alabama, real freedom fighter, so many to happen. All of you, Chaplain from Atlanta brought a bus in. Let me briefly turn to the book of Joshua. And reading the first chapter. Start at the first verse. There was a discussion soon after my mother passed of who was going to preach the funeral. And I told them, they said it was up to me. And we thought about it, and I talked to Joy about it. And I said that Joy was right. I was her favorite preacher, so I'm going to preach her favorite. Now, even if I wouldn't, that's what she told me. And I believe it. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Joshua 1, now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, came to pass that the Lord spoke unto Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore rise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. And it says of the 6th verse, be strong and of good measure. Yes, sir. Unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land, which I swear unto thee. As I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. Amen. I want to use for thought after Moses died. I thought about last night how in 1925, Ada Essie Sharpton, Ada Essie Richards, was born here in Dothan, Alabama. Amen. Raised here in Alabama. Amen. I used to call her Essie Mae, teasing her about her middle name. And the journey of Essie Mae is the journey of a people in this country. Yes, sir. Who would have thought in 1925, when she was born, she couldn't vote by law? Had to sit in the back of the bus. Couldn't sleep in the hotel we slept in last night. Couldn't buy a cup of coffee downtown Dothan. Couldn't go to certain schools. That was her entry. And her exit. The first black president of the United States sent a letter to her funeral. Long journey. From having no rights to seeing President Obama put his hand on that Bible. We that take so much for granted forget those that pay the price to get us here. We love the fruit, but forget the root. We love to look at great fruit after they blossom. Yeah. We never think about those that had to till the land. Amen. Had to go through winters making sure that the tree didn't die. Amen. Had to prune it through the summers. Yeah. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are. Amen. And every once in a while something happens. Yeah. To remind us that we got to go back. Yeah. To what brought us. Amen. Or when we elected Obama and saw Eric Holder as Attorney General, some of y'all start talking post-racial. There once in a while, God will let a Trayvon happen. Yeah. So you will remember the struggle that sponsored you in the first place. Amen. Yes, sir. And in your shock, yeah. When you think it's all over and you find out you still got to struggle. Yeah. In your shock, yeah. You can lose your way. Amen. In my life, I had a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. But the assurance you get is beyond you. Amen. And beyond what makes sense. And that is the message that Essie May taught us. Amen. Essie May taught us that God was not a God that was limited to one person or one generation. God flows from generation to generation. I've heard writers, and I'm in civil rights. I've seen writers and heard people talk about who would be the next Dr. King. After him, who would be the next Andy Young or Jesse Jackson. Guys beat up there, who's going to be the next Al Sharpton. Rather than realize that there's a force that ran through all of us. And rather than looking for the next manifestation, if you hook to the God force, God manifests himself from generation to generation. Don't act like God only got one type. God can take different styles and different ways to get his work done. Here's to my text. Moses. God used Moses. Moses didn't call God. God called Moses. Moses didn't even know who he was. Moses thought he was an Egyptian. God let him grow up under false pretense. Some of y'all grown up thinking you was something you wasn't. Go downtown and act like you don't know us. False pretense. Sit up in boardrooms and talk about you ain't like the rest of us. False pretense. But when he came of age, God called him out, gave him assignment and said, I want you. Go back to Pharaoh. You know the address because I've arranged for you to grow up in his house. You thought you was Pharaoh's son, but you were surveying for your freedom fighting career. And tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And we know the story. Moses went through 7 plagues and led the children of Egypt out of bondage. Got to the Red Sea and all hope was gone. When all the despair set in and some turned on Moses being jealous, God said, now stretch out your arm. Because you didn't bring the folk out here. I brought them out. I'm going to show you what I can do. And he brought dry land in the middle of the Red Sea. Joshua was with Moses all the way through that. 40 years in the wilderness, he was with him. When he sent Caleb and Joshua to survey the land, he was with him. But one day, Moses died. I imagine Joshua was heartbroken. I imagine he felt lost. I imagine like some of my siblings today, he felt empty. God said right here in the first chapter, let me get your attention. Moses was a great man. tell you today that the same God that you estimate would want you to know as he was with her 87 years from the back of the bus to the front of the White House, as I was with her from no lunch counter to 5-star restaurants, as I was with her where she stood online to get food stamps. Now her children can eat with kings and queens. As I was with Essie, I'll be with you. There was a time Tina and Sonny had moved back south. Joy had went on. Was a time it was just me and her. I was the youngest child. I watched her deal with financial crisis, but I never missed a meal. I watched her deal with emotional crisis, but I never seen her lose her temper. I watched her deal with things that I said I never would forgive. But she forgave everybody. And I grew older and made my own mistakes. And sought forgiveness myself. She never changed. And she stayed long enough to make sure that we all grew out of ourselves. It was hard for me to even come see her. Because it's difficult when somebody takes you and believes in you, and you look at them and they don't know who you are. I remember when I ran for president, I came down and that day they had taken her out of the nursing home after the convention, and I spoke that night at the Democratic convention. I came down about a month later. She was at Tina's house. And they said, she's not in the nursing home, she's at Tina's house. And I went by there, and she was sitting there on the couch. She didn't know who I was. Tina said, you know Alfred? She looked and didn't know me. I said, well, didn't she watch me speak at the Democratic convention on TV? So she said, yes, she watched. I said, well, I talked about it on the speech. He said, she heard it, and she said he must have had a fine mother. That she had to stay in the nursing home. Tina called me and said we might as well close the house down. And I'll never forget, we went over that day and my mother collected antiques and had all kind of stuff. And they asked me what I wanted. I didn't want none of the antiques. I didn't want any of the things I grew up with in the furniture. I took a Bible and a family album. I wanted the archives of the journey we took. And I wanted the Bible. Because I knew what made her make it. That's why last week, when I was headed to Florida on this Trayvon Martin case, about a week before that, Tina called and said, Mama's not doing well. She's not eating. But I'll keep you informed. Then Sonny called and said, yeah, we up there every day. She won't eat, but I'll let you know it'll be all right. Then Kenny called. Everybody started calling. I knew what time it was. Then they would call me and say, well, we tried to get insurance, and she wouldn't take the insurance. Then Tina called and said she's too old for them to put the food in her arm. Then little Kenny went the day before and got a little insurance in her mouth, but she wouldn't eat. But what y'all didn't understand is she knew she didn't need food where she was at. She was getting ready to go where you don't need nourishment no more. She had kept the faith. She fought a good fight. She had already finished her course. And I thank God that He let her go with Sonny and Tina, we made a deal. She used to tell me, you just live right. Yeah. And you'll make heaven, and I'll see another side. And I remember I told her, I said, you know, y'all taught me that you can't see spirits. Yeah. And we're not going to heaven, Martin and body. How am I going to know you when I get to heaven? Yes, sir. She said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you at the exchange counter. I said, at the exchange counter? She said, yeah, right past the gates of heaven, there's an exchange counter. I said, well, what do you mean there's an exchange counter, Ma? She said, that's where you hand in your cross to pick up your crown. Early Thursday morning, Ada heading out. But they're working on her crown now. Because I watched her bear a cross. Raise children by herself, I watched her bear a cross. Read ugly things in the paper by the children, I watched her bear the cross. But she gonna hand her cross in now and pick up her crown. Let me say this. Y'all quit playing it on like that. I'm not going. I got some of my bougie friends. I'm not going to preach like that. I'm not going to do it. Mr. Kirby is a United Methodist. I'm going to be Methodist today. There was the story of a lady. We getting ready, Dwight Jones, to go out to the burial. There will be those little Kenny, that Kenyatta, and all the great-grandchildren. There will be times every year we'll go and visit her gravesite. Tomorrow you and Dominique and all are getting her headstone, but I want y'all to remember something. There's a lady that used to go every day to the grocery store. And she'd get her little groceries together. And they would see her head into the cemetery. They'd watch every day, same time. The lady would get her little groceries together and head into the cemetery. The kids would laugh, say, that little homeless lady. She always get her little groceries and go out there and sleep in the tombstone. One day they got a little more courage, Kenny, they decided to follow her. They said, we want to see where in the graveyard she eats and lays down at night. This particular evening they waited, and sure enough, the lady came by. And she had her little groceries all wrapped up. And she went in the graveyard. And they followed her all the way through the graveyard. The more they walked, the more she kept going. She passed all the way past the half mark. She kept going. She got all the way toward the other side. And when they saw her on the other side, she came out the graveyard. Went up the steps to this beautiful mansion and took her keys out and unlocked the door. And then he said, wait a minute. All these years we thought she was living in the graveyard. She just used the graveyard to get home. Some of y'all gonna leave Essie in the graveyard, but Essie not gonna be in that graveyard. She got to go through this graveyard to get home. She's on her way home now. Ain't no dementia at home. Ain't no Alzheimer's at home. Ain't no pain at home. Ain't no waiting on your children to visit at home. She's on the way home now, son. Then let me say this and I'll let you go. I remember when I got a little older, they told a story in the obituary about how Mama raised us and sent us to school. The part they didn't write is Mama never finished junior high school. But Mama had a strong faith. And I remember when I went to Brooklyn College, some of my friends, They wanted to come to church with us. I was still in Washington Temple. And Joy, I didn't want my friends to visit church with us. Because you give your hold to his hand. God's unchanging hand. Through it all. Sometimes in the midnight hour, after my cell phone stopped ringing, after the doorbell quieted down, I go out in my living room all by myself and I sing my song. I can't sing for no homegoing service. I can't sing for Sunday morning worship. But I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow. I know, righteous be. I want us to all move orderly into the burial directed by our director. I want to thank all of you that made this service as we go now. The repast will be at the plaza. All of you that want to give something in her name, it is the family wishes and mine. You give it to the Ordinary People Society, led by her grandson, Reverend Glasgow. That was the last charity and organization she worked for. And I would want all of that to be done to Tops, because she was so proud of the work they do here in her hometown. And we wanted to do her service here. Little church, I got big friends here, Don Cone, Tracy, maybe we would have built y'all a bigger church, but we wanted to keep it the way Mama had it. But we want you to be supportive of Tops and supportive of what she would have wanted. So let's not rush. This is not a red carpet in Hollywood. So let the family proceed and then follow with us and give us our space to lay her to rest, and then we'll all go to repast. Oh, she was calling.